Meeting called to order at 5:30 p.m. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Commissioner Lloyd. Present. Commissioner Winfrey.
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Avery. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Present.
Commissioner Kuznow.
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Quorum.
All right, thank you,
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Freeman.
We're going to have some issues tonight with TV. They're going to be blinking on and off. IT's working on getting the replacement for it, but just FYI.
All right, thank you. We'll have our invocation from the Commissioner from the 1st District, Delrico Lloyd.
All right. Let us bow and pray. Gracious God, we thank you for another opportunity to be in this most sacred place. We thank you that you've chosen us to be your hands, feet, your mouth, and hands in the earth. We ask now that you'll be with us as we act on behalf of our constituents and all residents of Genesee County. Lord, give us wisdom, guidance, knowledge, and understanding. Bless our residency, all of our employees, and we thank you for that. Amen.
Amen. Would everyone who's able please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have before us the approval of the meeting minutes from January 24th, 2024. It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. It's now the time for public address to the commission. Do we have anyone that wishes to address us? It's now time for public comment. Does anyone wish to address the county commission? One last time. All right, thank you very much. Public comment is closed. Do we have any communications?
No.
We do not. Under appointments, we have Resolution 2024-176, approval of 2 appointments to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 3-year term expiring January 1st, 2027.
I move the appointments.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. We have one is Dominique Clemens. The other name is James Washington. Mr. Freeman, can you remind me of the process for this? Is it just an up or down vote?
Yeah, typically you would nominate somebody, but because there's only 2 names for the 2 positions there, it would just be an up or down vote.
All right. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there discussion on the motion? I'll say I know both of these gentlemen well, and I think they'll be. I think they're being reappointed. So good additions to continue with Parks and Recreation. With no other discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Also under appointments, we have Resolution -2024-177, approval of 2 appointments to the Valley Area Agency on Aging, senior representative positions for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported for the folks at home and watching in the audience. Joe Massey is one candidate, and the other is Pam Kutozos. Sorry about that if I'm mispronouncing it. Is there a discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Our last resolution under appointments is 2024-178, approval of 1 appointment to the Genesee Health System primary consumer position for a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2027. We have a motion.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. The motion is for Kayla Sturdivant. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Item 9, reports of standing committees. A, Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Avery and Commissioner Ellenberg are both absent, and there are no items listed under them. So unless anyone has anything there, I'll continue to item B, Community and Economic Development. Dr. Beverly Brown is the chairperson. Dale Wayhill is the vice chair. Dr. Brown, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have three resolutions before you today. Resolution number 2024-023, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Flint and Genesee Group in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to provide for additional services. This agreement will be paid for from the Accommodation Tax Fund.
Move it. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry, Mr. Shoemaker, I did not see you.
That's okay. I'm
You're
sorry.
recognized.
I was slow on the draw to get my.
That's
hand up.
okay.
I apologize. At our last meeting, I discussed this, and I had some questions for Josh, and he was unfortunately unavailable to be here. So if I may, Mr. Chair, continue just with my questioning to
Please.
Mr. Freeman, please. One, what is we give the chamber already, or Flint and Genesee Group, Josh, out of the accommodations tax annually?
They're capped at $1 million, and then a percentage of any increase that we collect year over year.
Do you know what that increase is roughly?
It's probably under $20,000.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have that number in front of me, but that's what comes to mind.
Okay. My next question is, are they putting in any portion of this?
On that portion, I believe that they were contributing a portion of this because the total dollar amount was $70-some thousand. So I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact amount, but I believe they are contributing a portion of this.
If I may, Mr. Chair, continue.
Of course,
Thank you.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
What percentage of that do we keep annually? Just give me the dollar amount comparably. They're at $1,020,000 roughly, and we're at
Yeah, so
what?
let's say we collect $1.5 million. I think it was around that amount last year, or the year before. Chamber gets $1 million. The Parks gets about 320, 340. And then we keep those, anything that's above that. And historically, since we made that change to the contracts and we capped both the Chamber and the Parks, the board has used those excess proceeds to go towards things like the Fire Sticks tournament, to go towards things like what they're trying to do in Mundy Township. Projects that are going to draw people to the community and help put heads in beds.
Yes. That's been our goal as a county board. So my question is, or my statement is, I guess, more to this board here, is the fact is they're putting up 20 maybe for this project, and we're putting up 50 when they're getting the larger lion's share of the pie, and we're asked to put up even more and more. And their job originally was to put heads in beds, as you so eloquently put it. And I believe when a former commissioner was here, she asked them to come up with a number of what they were actually, rooms they were responsible for filling, and it was less than 1%. So I'm going to be a no on this vote because I really think our dollars could be spent wiser. I think what we're about to do with Mundy Township is a much better use of taxpayer dollars, and I think it will fill more hotel rooms with that than this. And my complaint from the beginning has always been, we give them the larger portion, yet we always are asked to contribute more and more and more of their fair share. So I appreciate allowing me to speak, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the board. Thank you so much.
All right, is there additional discussion? Commissioner Kuzno.
Yeah, I only wanted to make the comment like I did in the committee, is that we have never developed as a board a plan of what to do with that money, and we just kind of haphazardly, allocate it out, and I would like to see a plan moving forward so we can accomplish maybe some of the projects that various commissioners have talked about, but we've not put aside any money for it. Thank you.
All right, additional discussion. Can we do Commissioner Brown, then we'll come back to
Yes,
Commissioner
please.
Shoemaker?
So when the chamber representatives were here during the committee meeting, one of the things they talked about was the fact that they ran out of the brochures that are placed in all of the hotels and other venues so that we could draw more people in and get the exposure of all of our assets here in Genesee County. So that's a part of what this money will go toward, but it's more than that. It's a website. It's doing a video to enhance the image of the area. And so this amount of money, I think, will, and I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Shoemaker, and I respect your vote on it, but I also agree with Commissioner Kuzno that in reflection, we haven't really reflected over our priorities as a county. And so I'm more than willing to discuss that at a later date during the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting so that we can go ahead and prioritize what we want to do with accommodation tax funding.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
If I may, two
You may.
things. One, respond. With $1,020,000, they can buy a lot of brochures. Okay, I'm sorry. That's, to me, the website is already up. They should have been updating that. It's part of your business plan. You shouldn't have to come that, if you're structuring your company right, or you're handling your business correctly, you know that every so often we add stores, that guess what? So many years, we're gonna have to upgrade our website. So we put that into our budget moving forward. We weren't going out and asking Big Brother to come in and loan us, or give us money, not a loan, give us more money to do that. I think it's poor planning, the fact that you don't have that set aside budgetarily, you're not seeing that in there, that you don't know you're gonna need these things, that you don't know you're gonna need more brochures, and then you're gonna have to come back to the county again when you've mismanaged that, or you don't understand where those funds are coming from. So, like I said, I have several issues. I've made it clear to Flint Genesee Group. I don't tend to shy away from them. Do I think they do great work in some areas? Yes. But this is not one I'm willing to keep dumping money into when we have such great projects like what's going on in Monday Township right now.
Commissioner Kuzno.
I respect Commissioner Shoemaker's comments, hold him in high esteem for it. And I just wanted to make a note, a historical note that in the past, and I know that when I was here in the past and along with Mr. Shoemaker, we passed a resolution keeping some of that money, where in prior years, it was turned over 100%, other than some to the parks, but it was turned over to the Commerce Committee there, Commission. But we've never developed a plan of what to do with that money, and that's why I think we should, so we quit just haphazardly giving it out.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there additional discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
Motion passes.
The second resolution, number 2024-136, approval of proposed amendment to Resolution 2023-448 by increasing the purchase order by $150,000 using CDBG CARES Act funding.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
It's been moved. Is there support?
I'll support it with a question.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Commissioner Kuzno.
An explanation, please.
Derek, would you introduce yourself for the audience at home and in the auditorium?
Absolutely. Derek Bradshaw, Director of Planning, Genesee County. So these funds are funds that we're going to put into our home improvement program that allow us to do a handful of more houses. Currently, we have a little over, it's $1 million and change. I know it's, so we're adding about 150,000. And the funding are coming from a couple spots. One being, we had a project that we funded with the jail. So we funded, I think it was dryers and hot water. There's chillers. There's two projects at the jail we funded, came in under a budget. And then we had some software that we were billing out to this as well. And we found a different way to pay it, so we'd rather put the dollars from an administrative side back into actually doing some more houses.
Thank you.
Is there additional discussion or questions for Mr. Bradshaw? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
The third resolution is 2024-214, approval of proposed funding for the Monday Miracle Commons project.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? Commissioner Kuzno?
Just a reminder, please, of what was the amount?
Can we have Township Supervisor Tanya Ketzler come forward and talk about the Monday Miracle Commons project and the one-third amount that the county will be considering tonight?
Good evening. I would love to be a commissioner, but I'm really busy where I am right now, so thanks for that. Tanya Ketzler, Supervisor, Muddy Township. We have, according to the state, the largest handicap accessible park in the state of Michigan. We are part of the Miracle League family, who is pressing for their teams to be travel teams. We have 6 Miracle League fields in the state of Michigan, and Muddy Township happens to be right in the middle of it. We've been raising money almost as fast as the price of those fields have been going up. We can't hardly keep track, and so we are very excited to have that available and build it for all children. So the 250,000 people within an hour of Mundy Township who have disabilities will be able to play ball possibly for the first time. 4.6 million people live within an hour of Mundy Township. And when I tell you that everything that we do in Mundy Township, we think heads and beds and we think economic development, I can tell you, as being the past chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce, my head spins back and forth so quick, making sure that everything we do does exactly that, but fill my 800 hotel rooms on Hill Road.
Do we have additional questions or discussion? Anyone? Commissioner Cousineau.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not opposed to it. What was the amount that we're spending?
$239,000.
Thank you.
And Supervisor, the total cost?
Last night, I looked at $824,000.
Okay. Any other discussion? Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Do we have any reports, Dr. Brown?
No reports.
All right, we are on to the Finance Committee, chaired by Commissioner Cousineau and vice chaired by Dr. Brown. Commissioner Cousineau.
Due to the constraints of time of one of the commissioners, I'm going to start with Resolution 15 and finish to the end and then go back to number 1. So approval I move 24151, approval of a proposed ARPA funding allocation for various community projects.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move 24-152, approval of a proposed ARPA funding allocation for the Friends of Burston.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion?
Just brief discussion.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Commissioner, the late, great Commissioner B.B. Noden, who served this board seat and term in which I'm filling now. Burston has a project that he was very passionate about, that he spearheaded, and in short tonight, just excited to be able to support, provide additional support to that particular project. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move Resolution 24-155, approval of proposed ARPA funding allocation for the YMCA.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe last time you'd brought up a question of whether they'd sent in their request.
And I believe it has been submitted.
Yes, it has.
So is there anyone here that can articulate it for us?
Derek Bradshaw from Planning reached out while I was out to Joe Risk, and he can probably speak to it better than anybody else.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They reached out, and I sent email to all the commissioners. You should have it in your email box. So I know you just got back from a trip, but $200,000 is going to be key to help do furnishing for the project. So they have a lot of the money for the capital needs, but the actual furnishing. So they gave us a list of what they were actually looking to do in that project. So
This
we were
is for their new building on Harrison, I take
Yes.
it?
Yep.
Commissioner Shoemaker, you have additional?
I was just looking for my email on that.
Okay.
When did you send that?
It would have been, I'll go back and look, but probably couple, 2-3 days ago.
Okay.
I'll go look.
February 13th.
February 13th, 2 days ago?
Yesterday.
Yesterday,
Okay.
yes.
So I'll recognize Commissioner Lloyd
do.
while you are looking for the email. Commissioner Lloyd.
In short, as we are allocating ARPA funding, I just wanted to thank Derek and a member of his team who's been spending some extra time in our districts here lately as we've been communicating to the public various allocations, particularly for senior centers. So thank you.
Do we have additional discussion?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Brown.
As Commissioner Shoemaker mentioned, we were all traveling yesterday and did not have a chance to really thoroughly review the email. I see there are lots of attachments with this and lots of support letters and things like that, but I personally am not prepared to vote on this particular resolution tonight.
Well, if it's the will of the body, we can postpone. I think we need to do that through a
Chair.
motion.
Substitute motion to
Mr. Lloyd.
Substitute motion to postpone 2024-155 back to committee if there's no objection to it. I'm not supposed to need more time, I'll support that.
Is there objection to that? So we will vote on the postponement, but we need to have discussion. Is there a discussion on postponing this to the next committee meetings? Is that right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, to the corporate counsel, what's the procedure? Did we have to have that second?
Yes.
And
Yes,
did anybody second it?
I support it.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to follow procedure.
Thank you,
that's all.
Commissioner. So it's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion to postpone? Commissioner Shoemaker, sorry.
I think Dr. Brown put it best as, let's allow us some time to review. So,
All right, additional discussion on the motion to postpone. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move Resolution 24-209, approval of proposed ARPA funding allocation for Mundy Township and Gaines Township Water Line Project.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move Resolution 24-210, approval of proposed ARPA funding allocation for the City of Clio Water Line replacement.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cousineau, do you have any report from the committee?
No, I have to go back to number 1 now.
Oh,
I
I'm
took
sorry.
things out of order.
My apologies.
Mr. Chair,
Let me find my place here, and I'll be happy
Mr.
to
Lloyd?
proceed.
Mr. Chair, before we proceed, I'd like to ask to be excused.
What if I say no?
That I'll sit here the rest of the night, Mr. Chair.
You are excused,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Do we need a second?
What's, go ahead, Chairman Cousineau.
Okay. I move Resolution 23886, approval of a request to create, post, and fill a deputy CIO at Genesee County's Information Technology Department.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-024, approval of a request to create, post, and fill one administrative secretary position at Genesee County's facilities in operation. This request will eliminate an account clerk position.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-071, approval of a request by Genesee County's Park and Recreation Commission to travel to the Revenue Development and Management School at Ogle Bay National Training Center in Wheeling, West Virginia. The dates of travel are March 10th through the 15th of this year. Total cost for 2 employees not to exceed $5,500. Cost to be paid from the following account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-075, approval of a modification number 1 of a contract between Genesee County and Newkirk Electric in an amount not to exceed $38,098 to continue work on the rewire of the Genesee County's jail. The cost of this modification will be paid from ARPA funding.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-092, approval of an amendment to Section 18 of the Genesee County Employees Retirement System Ordinance.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes.
Move Resolution 24-099, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the weeks ending 12/17/23, 12/24/23, 12/31/24, 1/7/24, and 1/14/24 in the total amount of $16,252,386.92.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Move Resolution 24-102, approval of a purchase order to ETNA for this fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $121,844.10 to provide for the purchase of drain maintenance material. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the following account with attached budget amendment.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-111, approval of a purchase order to Great Lakes Imaging for the fiscal year 2024 in an amount not to exceed $23,700 to provide for the replacement of an X-ray machine. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the listed account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-124, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the first quarter FY 23-24 investment report.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-128, approval of request to create, post, and fill 4 deputy positions assigned to Operation Arrowhead. The cost of these positions are grant funded.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-131, approval of a proposed budget amendment to 23-24 appropriations resolution for various line items as described in the attached budget adjustment request.
Your support. It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Approval, 24-139, approval of a contract between Genesee County and Quality Assessing Services, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $39,500 to provide for support for the 24 equalization study for Genesee County.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Move Resolution 24-140, approval of a purchase order to CMP Distributors Incorporated for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $19,862.90 for the purchase of ballistic vest for the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. The cost of the purchase order will be paid from the following accounts.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
And finally, I move Resolution 24-146, approval of a request by Genesee County Seventh Circuit Court to create, post, and fill one paralegal position for the Legal Resource Center. The request will eliminate one secretary position.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Now, Mr. Chair, anything to report?
I just wanted to thank my fellow commissioners and staff for working very hard on the ARPA funding, the allocation that we just did. That was well thought out by everybody, and we all eventually come to, I know we still have one to deal with, but we come to a fairly agreeable position, and I thank everyone.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We're on to Governmental Operations Committee, item D on page 4. I'm the chair of Government Operations, so I'll be putting these motions forward. The first one, Resolution -2024-055, approval of contract between Genesee County and Michigan State University in an amount not to exceed $34,942 to provide an evaluation of the Racial and Ethnic Disparities Reduction Grant, REDC, program outcomes. The cost of this contract is budgeted and will be paid for from the account listed.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Now we have Resolution -2024-070, approval of a grant award from the Michigan State Police Auto Theft Prevention Authority in the amount of $846,289 to provide for staffing of the Genesee Auto Investigation Network, GAIN. The grant required match of $103,764 is included in the FYE 24 budget. It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-080, approval of a request by Genesee County's Office of the Prosecutor to travel to the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan Midwinter Conference in Acme, Michigan. The dates of travel are February 28th through March 1st, 2024. Total cost of travel for 15 staff members is budgeted and shall not exceed $6,375 to be paid for from the account listed. It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? We have John Potberry, of all people, is at the mic. John, would you introduce yourself and then?
John Potberry, Deputy Chief Assistant Prosecutor. And I just wanted to clarify that the request is for up to 15 staff members to attend this conference. And the reason for that is this is a very special conference every year where the Prosecuting Attorneys Association honors and recognizes those staff members, assistant prosecutors from around the state for their years of service. Anybody from, in 5-year increments, 5 years, 10 years, 15, some up to 50 years of service. So they get recognized and honored. And so Prosecutor Layton always opens it up to our staff members who are up for that service award. The reality is they're too busy to go to this conference. We only have 4 staff members going, and that includes Prosecutor Layton and our Chief Assistant. Of the remaining 2, one of those staff members is paid for entirely by a grant. So the total cost for 4 members of our department is only $1,275. I wanted to point that out because 15 staff members kind of is like, wow, how can you get away for that long a period of time? So I wanted to clarify that.
Well, I was going to actually say if you can get 15 staff members there for $6,375, that's probably the most efficient conference that we've ever looked at.
Yeah, it is partially subsidized by the Prosecuting Attorneys Association.
Sure.
So that cuts back on the cost.
All right. Is there additional discussion or anything for John? Commissioner Brown?
So I heard you, thank you, John, for coming. I heard you say that 4 are actually going. Are there more than 4 that deserve to be recognized for years of service?
Yes. And what will happen is Prosecutor Layton will receive their plaques and bring them back and
Okay,
give them to each staff member in his office. So,
okay.
yeah, I don't know how many of the 15 were going to be receiving awards, because this also includes senior management staff,
Okay,
but only 4 are going.
okay. I would just add a note that I think that longevity does deserve recognition, and if those folks who are not able to attend this conference could come in front of this board, perhaps we could express our appreciation for their longevity, and I know they're super busy, and I applaud them for working rather than going to, this conference, but I still would like to express appreciation.
Thank you very much. That would be very, very much appreciated.
All right, do we have additional discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Resolution -2024-098, approval of a request by the Office of the Sheriff to travel to the Society of Michigan Emergency Medical Service Instructor Coordinator Conference in Traverse City, Michigan. The dates of travel are March 7th through the 10th, 2024. The cost of travel for 2 employees shall not exceed $2,263.60 to be paid for from the account listed.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. We have Resolution -2024-118, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Plant Moran for continued healthcare consulting services.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I have a little more, I know we've had this contract with them for a while, and Mr. Freeman knows my feelings on continued use of certain organizations or groups or companies over a period of time. Did we send this out for anyone else to bid or to look
No, I
into,
don't-
see if
I
we can
don't-
get anybody else to do it?
I don't think so. Anita can speak to the specifics on this. This may be a continuation of a multi-year contract with them, but she can speak to those specifics. I can say that Plant Moran has been instrumental in reducing or helping us to address our legacy costs, our long-term legacy costs for both active and retirees, so.
Anita, if you'd introduce yourself and then.
Sure. Anita Galida, the HR Director for Genesee County Human Resources. Hi.
Hi.
So this, it kind of came about, we've been using Plant Moran for auditing services for a long time. They were brought in 2020, I believe, to start talking about the healthcare expenses for the county. So at that point, working with them, they have an arm that falls under Plant Moran for benefits for this consulting service. So we kind of transitioned from when our contract ended with our last consultants to them, and we've been working with them ever since. They did not require a contract for a set amount of time, and this came about because they had a rate change. So they weren't requesting a contract, but obviously they're providing services for us. So we went through the process and developed with Corporation Counsel and Risk Management the professional services contract. So that's where we're at today. It wasn't an expiration per se of any contract, we're just continuing services with them. But now this will be for 3 years.
Commissioner Shoemaker,
If I may continue, thank
you
you.
may.
What's the cost of this contract compared to what we previously paid?
The increase is a 1.5% increase, so it's about $2,500, I think is the math. It went from 168 to about 170 annually.
1,000.
Yes.
Okay. Who were we using before?
For consultants, we've used a few different companies. We've used 44 North, we used Siegel. Remember, we had one other. I don't recall the name of this.
Buck, was it?
Oh, right, Buck Consulting was our first consultants.
Thank you so much for
Can I
answering
ask
that.
a question?
Well, I think he might have further discussion.
I do, but if Dr. Brown would like to go, I'd always let the lady go in front
So
of me.
Dr. Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just along that same line, and for my own clarification, is Plant Moran, are they engaged, well, to what extent are they engaged in the conversations between our retirees and the healthcare insurance piece? And I know there's a group that meets and
Healthcare
collaborates. So is Plant Moran, is this contract tied to that piece?
It isn't tied to it, but the work they do is instrumental in that. That's a healthcare coalition we created.
Yes.
That we actually meet here, so you'll see us if you come by, with all of the unions represented. And then Plant Moran is kind of educating that group and helping all of us understand the nuances in healthcare, and helps us as a group, and then it comes to you ultimately for any changes. But yes, they are instrumental in that.
So they're instrumental, it sounds like they're instrumental in bringing the data and information research to the coalition so they can make an
Absolutely.
informed decision?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And they're experts in that field, so they're keeping an eye on what do we need to be looking at or considering. They'll bring to the table for the coalition to look at different options on cost containment and maintaining a high quality of coverage for us as employees and retirees.
All right, Commissioner Shoemaker, oh. Go ahead, Marty. All right. Commissioner Cousineau.
Just, once again, I'm feeling old tonight. Some historical background. We hired those in 2020 when we were looking very closely at the healthcare of the county as a whole. And, I was very instrumental in that, in looking at it, as was Mr. Shoemaker. And, the healthcare cost was a crisis. And I know I looked into contracts, like she mentioned, 44 North was consultants, and for lack of better words, that was a waste of our money. But we hired Plant Moran's healthcare branch. It's separate from the auditing part. They are the experts at looking at that, and they helped, in my opinion, show that basically when we were buying the insurance like we were through, at that time, 100% Blue Cross, they're overcharging us by at least $5 million, in my opinion. So they helped us save a lot of money. But they continue to work with us and to advise us on how to save money and get the best bang for our buck, if I will. And one of the big things, and I think they were instrumental in it, I'm not really sure, but somebody discovered that our past consultants weren't even applying for the refunds money that we're supposed to get at the end of the year, where they're basically charging us too much and sending money back. So that in itself, I don't know how much that has saved us, but it's been a lot of money. So some of the consultants, what I'm saying is, some of the consultants that we've used in the past weren't even doing their job. And so I'm very happy with what Plant Moran has done and continues to do, and so I'll be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Oh.
Is there additional discussion? I think we're back to Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. First thing, I've got a multi-question discussion I'd like to put forth, and I'll do them one at a time, then we'll answer them from there instead of just laying everything out at once, if that's okay. One, is there an early opt-out clause in this contract?
All of our professional service contracts have an early opt-out, so it should have one in there.
Not that I'm questioning your memory.
I understand.
But I'm just gonna say that I remember we thought we had one in another contract about 2 years ago, and if you look back, I think on film or footage from this meeting, we did not. So I'm just asking, and for me, I'd like to know that, number one. But if everybody wants to move forward, that's fine. Next is on this, I understand what they were doing for that number to be so large to begin with, because they had to gather all the data to begin with and put something together. But now that they have basically the majority of the information, they're not doing as much. And for that cost to stay as high as it is from the initial cost to continue on is something I think this board should take into question. And lastly, this is a statement to the entire board, it's $170,000 of taxpayer dollars that is not our money. And yes, we may be happy with them, but I think we owe it to the residents of this county when we take and spend anything like this kind of money to actually send it out and have someone bid it out and show what they can do, and then we can decide from references and everything else like that whether it's the best choice or not. And I know the new board members already probably get tired of the broken record of me saying this. Charles has had to deal with it for a while. I can tell by the way he's looking at me, but I will continue on this path because I believe in it. I believe it's not my money. I think we should watch over every dollar and make sure we spend it wisely, and $170,000 in a 3-year contract is a lot. You're spending almost $500,000 roughly for 3 years. And, you know, it just should be looked at a little closer, and I think we should have all the options on the table when we spend that kind of money. So moving forward on this for now, I do agree with Commissioner Kuzno. When we started it, they did a very great job and helped us tremendously. But, you know, new brooms, bristles grow dull, and once in a while you might want to hire or get a new broom. You know, make sure you do something. So I thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be voting no, though.
Okay. Is there additional discussion on the motion? Mr. Kuzno.
I would be open, and I'll make the motion to make the acceptance of the contract on our part, subject to us clarifying the early out clause, that we are allowed to adopt out early for no cause.
So we have a motion that will make approval of this contingent on having the early, confirming that there's an early out clause. Is that
That's my motion.
fair to say? Is there support for that?
I'll support it with a question.
Okay, supported by Dr. Brown. Commissioner Brown, the floor is yours.
I would offer tweaking it by saying renewable, the contract would be, whether or not it has an out clause in it or not. But I think maybe if we offer a renewable annually clause subject to 1-year evaluation to kind of gauge our return on investment. Oh, and I say that because it sounds like they have a track record. Plant Moran has a track record of successful return on investment for us. And so, and it helps. It's a mutually agreeable thing if we sit down with them and say, okay, we're going to give you a year to keep doing what you've been doing. And then if we aren't happy with that return on investment after a year, I think we can go ahead and bid it out that time. That's my suggestion.
So let me offer, well, Commissioner Kuzno, go ahead.
Well, I just had a question that's fading away out of my mind here at the moment, but this contract was not asked for by Plant Moran, is the way I'm taking it, but we were offering it. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Anita?
We had, and I wasn't involved in this piece of it back in 2020, but there was a scope of work that was agreed upon. Plant Moran, this came about right now. They weren't asking for a contract per se. They were just notifying us of the 2%, I'm sorry, I don't want to misquote that, 1.5% increase. And they were happy that they would continue that scope of work with a letter that we acknowledge the increase. We, as a county, require the contract. So I don't have it with me, I didn't bring it with me, but it is our professional services contract. I'm not sure if Brian knows there's an out clause, but I can confirm that for you. I'll have the answer tonight.
If I may, is this time sensitive? Does it have to be voted on this evening?
Providing services, they're continuing to provide, they're not,
So the motion on the floor is to approve it contingent on what Commissioner Kuzno indicated. Dr. Brown made a point but didn't put it in the form of a motion about an additional item in terms of timing. I wonder if we might, or the chair would entertain a motion to postpone this to committee if there's not a time sensitive. Commissioner Kuzno?
That's what I wanted to do, is make a motion to postpone it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, what is the original length of the contract?
Can I ask, was there support for that? Let me just make sure.
No, I
to
had a
post-
question before he made the motion.
Okay. Well, so you're on the other motion. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just want to know the length or duration of the contract.
I can't speak to that. I wasn't involved in that piece, but I'm sure that we have record of it because there was a scope of work involved. So I can find that out for you. The contract that's on the agenda today would be for up to 3 years, so it would be on an annual basis renewal.
So the contract began in
2020, they started doing work for us, I believe it was October, late in the year.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, they were working with the board on a special project and then transitioned towards the end of the year to be our consultants for this purpose.
All right, so we had a motion. Is there support for postponement?
Support.
All right, now the motion on the floor is to postpone back to government operations at our next meeting. Is there discussion on the motion to postpone? Commissioner Kuzno.
I would only suggest that being there is a lot of questions by myself and my colleagues that we individually contact staff to clarify that before we bring it to the table again.
Would there be interest in inviting a guest from Plant Moran to be at the committee meeting? Someone who can speak to this in addition to our own staff at the county. I see a nod from, well, I'm the committee chair. I can make that happen, can't I? So I have interest in it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there additional discussion on postponement? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Anita. Resolution -2024-119, approval of a request by Genesee County's Friend of the Court to travel to the Eastern Regional Interstate Child Support Association Conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The dates of travel are April 7th through the 11th, 2024. Total cost of travel for 3 employees not to exceed $3,500. This is a budgeted expense.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-125, approval of a grant award from Region 3 Homeland Security Planning in the amount of $25,500 to provide for the purchase of containment booms. The budget for this grant and purchase is attached. Is there,
Support.
moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-127, approval of a grant award from Region 3 Homeland Security Planning Board in the amount of $1,999.20 to provide for the purchase of 42 Stop the Bleed kits. The budget for this grant and purchase is attached.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-135, approval of a contract between Genesee County and A2J Tech PBC to provide for legal kiosks for the Legal Resource Center. This is a grant-funded project.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-138, approval of a contract between Genesee County and Carmen Ainsworth Community Schools in the amount of $49,907 to provide for 1 school resource officer. Revenue from this contract will be deposited into the listed account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Just like, I was thinking about this after we voted for it, that it just seemed like a lot less than some of our other school resource officer contracts. I was just wondering, there was less time invested, or?
Someone's here from the sheriff's office that can speak to that.
All right. Thank you. If you'd identify yourself.
Captain Jason Murphy with the Sheriff's Office. Yes, sir. I think on that is, it's starting late in the year, so it's starting March 1st, so it's only running for a few months, not the entire school year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Captain Murphy, I just have a general question. You may or may not be able to answer it, but maybe we could make something happen in the future. But I'm wondering, with all the school resource officers at the districts in the county that, you know, we've approved in the past, I'd like to know to what extent they prepare for or are proactive with a disaster that might happen. I'm thinking about a mass school shooting. So what are they doing to prepare or to prevent that kind of episode?
Yeah, there's regular training that every one of our SROs get, along with all of our deputies. A lot of proactive interaction with the children, trying to find out who may be at risk or something like that. So that's just an ongoing thing we do.
Okay. Can you be more specific with ongoing?
Yeah, we try to interact with all the students and the staff. If the staff has a concern about, you know, someone that may or may not be a at-risk student, we'll try to interact with them more, do home visits, stuff like that.
So how often, can you tell me, how often do they interact with counselors at the school or teachers at the school?
I would say daily.
Okay,
you know.
informally or formally?
Mostly formally.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
As a parent of children who have a resource officer in their school, I will tell you this, I have found them to be very engaging with the students. From having lunch with them and working with staff and counselors when there is an issue. A few years back, my son was found to be not just on a list, a kill list, but the top individual on the list at the middle school. And I will tell you, the staff and the way they handled it with the sheriff's department was nothing but way in, let me just put it this way, they went above and beyond to make sure it was taken care of correctly and handled correctly. And their engagement, I think, showed their resourcefulness and their ability to do so. And in addition to that, during that time, I was asking questions on this. They have extensive training and continued training annually, as far as I remember, to deal with this type of a situation. So I am very confident that our school district, it has been a huge benefit to have this resource officer in the school. I think the students feel better and more at ease with it also. And because of their relationship building, I think the students feel closer to them to come and actually tell them when they see something or feel something is going on. Now, I don't know if it's at all schools, but I can tell you at Lake Fenton High School, we love our resource officer, and he's not just an officer that's there in the school, he's actually part of our school. And I think that's the way it is throughout the county. These men and women, my opinion, dedicate themselves to that school and to those children, and I think they do a wonderful job. And since Lake Fenton's in your school district, if you would like, we could get you out there to see that, or I'm sure one of the other schools too. But I couldn't be more happy with what goes on at the school with our resource officer.
All right, Captain Murphy, I have a question along the lines of what Commissioner Brown asked. The training that you spoke to, is that done, is there individualized training for a resource officer, but then are they also part of larger active assailant drills within the school, which is also obviously a form of training?
Absolutely. They get their individual training, then we do school-wide trainings with not only the SROs, but all our deputies that would be responding and other agencies that will respond to that incident as well.
Okay, and are the active assailant drills, is that something that's coordinated through the sheriff's office with the principal superintendent Do you put those on?
Absolutely, we put those on a regular basis.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional discussion? Commissioner Kuzino.
I'll just concur with, some of the things that Shoemaker said, but my primary knowledge is from the Clow area schools, and I know that they've worked tirelessly out there with the schools and the students, and I've witnessed it over a number of years from afar, but I know they do it.
Is there additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution -2024-145, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and New Paths Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $51,537 to provide substance abuse treatment and counseling services. The cost of this agreement will be paid from various grant funds.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Resolution -2024-147, approval of a grant award from the Michigan Supreme Court in the amount of $75,000 for the purpose of converting the courthouse law library to the Genesee County Legal Resource Center.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. It's not so much a report, but I'll mention for the audience something that we've said previously, that when there's little discussion on some of these, it's because the discussion has taken place publicly in our committee meetings, and so this is obviously a full meeting of the commission. Last week, I think there was considerable discussion around a number of these items where there was none tonight. So if you're curious about background, it's online in the paper form or digital form, but you can also look at our committee meeting from last week if you want to learn more. On to the Human Services Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Winfrey and vice-chaired by Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move resolution 2023, should that be 2024? No. 2023-557. Approval of a contract between Genesee County and Mott Children's Health Center in an amount not to exceed $64,626 to provide for children dental screening. The cost of this agreement is fully grant funded.
Support.
With a question.
It's been moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
I just had a question on the 2023. Good catch, Charles. So just what?
So this was entered into the system in 2023, and there must have been some issue that delayed it moving forward. So that's why it's got the number from the date that it was entered.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Will that affect people trying to look up this record, though, because it was passed 2024 and it does state 2023?
No, you can search by keyword in our system now, so. it shouldn't be
I
an
know,
issue.
just somebody who's used to looking it up that way, just wondered. So, thank you.
Yep.
Is there additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move resolution 2024-012, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Greater Flint Health Coalition in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to provide Medicaid outreach services. The cost of this agreement will be paid from the following accounts with a 50% reimbursement from Medicaid. The term of this contract is October 23 through September 24.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move resolution 2024-073, approval of a grant award from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services in the amount of $120,000 to provide for sexual health clinics at Genesee County's Health Department. The budget for this grant is attached.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move resolution 2024-079, approval of a grant award from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation in the amount of $50,000 to provide for additional staffing. The budget for this grant is attached.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-094, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the City of Linden in an amount not to exceed $170,332 to provide funding for the operations at Lucy Senior Center for the 2023-24 fiscal year.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-115, approval of modification number 1 of an agreement between Genesee County and Ascension at Home in an amount not to exceed $25,000 to provide additional case management care coordination services. The cost of this agreement will be paid from the following account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? Commissioner Kuzno.
Just an explanation, is these monies to be used for certain levels of socioeconomic care, case management?
Michelle Estelle, our acting director at the Health Department, will be able to answer that for you.
Hello, good afternoon. This is to provide ongoing care. So we work with Hurley, we work with Ascension and Hurley, different contracts. But the HRSA provided additional money to continue the care, and yes, there's a little additional care as well. So they go in homes and they provide a social worker, they provide a nurse to work with the mothers in their homes to provide various services and referral services. And we also have our community liaisons go in and work with the mothers as well. So this provides the medical services, the social worker services, and we also make references or referrals to for mental health issues if we see them.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I'm just trying to get a little clarification as to what type of patient is designated as being qualified for this case management.
So these are mothers that are pregnant or postpartum or have had a baby. So within a year, they provide services within a year before services while they're pregnant and a year after the babies are born. So you have to be a parent that qualifies and then basically a certain socioeconomic status. So a lot of these mothers are poor and don't have a lot of services. It is a very large African-American population, but that is not the only
Yeah, I didn't mean to get that detailed,
yeah,
but
okay.
that's nice. I'm very familiar with what case management does.
Yes,
I deal with it all the time, in my personal life, but I just didn't know for the classification of people, psychological or whatever. So thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Brown.
I would also like to ask Michelle to, for my own clarification too. So it sounds like this is for expectant mothers. And I wonder if there's a parallel program that works for coordination of care for the elderly.
Not through the health department at this time, at least not at this time. That's maybe.
Are you aware of any other department that does coordination of care services?
There may be some services available through our senior services millage. And we can get with Lynn when you're in later this week and go over that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there additional discussion or questions before she leaves the podium? All right, thank you. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-116, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Hurley Medical Center Children's Center to provide WIC services for eligible mothers and children.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-143, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Board of Trustees of Michigan State University to administer Genesee County's MSU Extension millage.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Chair, do you have any report for us?
Not at this time, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Winfrey. Last but not least, we have the Public Works Committee, chaired by Commissioner Ellenberg and vice chaired by Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Davis.
I move Resolution 2024-057, approval of modification number 1 of contract between Genesee County and Securitas Security Services USA Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $22,000 to provide additional services during holiday events at Genesee County's historic Crossroads Village. The cost of this modification will be paid from the said account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-095, approval of a purchase order to Spartan Distributors for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $268,445.07 to provide 07 cents to provide for the purchase of 2 Toro Groundsmaster mowers. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the said account.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
I move Resolution 2024-121, request approval for conveyance of Chevy Commons.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Commissioner Cousineau.
I just wanted to give recognition to Barry June from the Parks Division for putting in a long, tireless amount of hours in making this happen and making sure that it was done right. I know it was a very complicated deal, something that has been in motion for a number of years now, and this brings it to conclusion as far as how the county's part of it. And thank you to Mr. June.
Do we have additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Madam Vice Chair, do you have any report?
No, not at this time.
All right, thank you. Do we have any unfinished business this evening?
No, sir.
Do we have any new or miscellaneous business, Commissioners?
Do, Commissioner, we've got a request to go into closed session for two matters.
All right, if I might, very quickly, I do want to recognize the fact that our Genesee County Youth Commissioners met today in the building, in our committee room, the other side of this wall, to discuss their project. They'll be coming to us at the end of April. I was pleasantly surprised that like a third of them are from Swartz Creek in the 8th District. So 8th District is representing, and we have Colin, right? 4th District, you're not currently a member, but you're there to advise and support, am I right? So Colin was on the Youth Commission last year and is from Commissioner Brown's district. So thank you for what you do and to the students, and we'll look forward to seeing them. I'll defer to the Corporation Council for the reason for the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the Open Meetings Act, this body is allowed to go into closed session to consult with its attorneys regarding trial or settlement strategy in pending litigation. And there's 2 matters before you tonight. One is a request by the risk manager. It's a workers' compensation case. It's in the matter of Allen versus Genesee County, workers' compensation case number GCO-21-000084-01. And we have another matter that's pending. It's the 67th District Court versus the County of Genesee, Michigan Court of Appeals, case number 368601. So I would ask that you can make one motion to go into closed session on both matters. Needs to be taken, a roll call vote needs to be taken, and we need all 6 votes to go into closed session.
I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Kuzino?
Just a quick question, I have 3 things listed, and we just skipped one.
I think it was a mistake.
Number one is the motion to go into closed session. Should you need to take action when you come out of closed session, is number 2 and 3.
Yeah, so I make the motion to go into closed session.
It's been moved and supported to go into closed session. Roll call.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown. Yes. Commissioner Shoemaker,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzenow,
Yes.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Both members voting in the affirmative.
Motion is passed. We're in closed session. Out of closed session, I point you to item 2, top of page 7, resolution -2024-188. The chair would entertain a motion to follow the recommendation
Make a
of...
motion that we follow the attorney's recommendation in the matter of Allen versus Genesee County.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
I just wanted to clarify which one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 3, Resolution 2024-189.
Once again, I make a motion that we follow the recommendation of our attorney in the matter of the 67th District Court versus Genesee County.
Or
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. We are adjourned at 7:39.